Everyone, we have Kitika Sehgal with us today. She is the Amazon #1 best-selling author and a five-time TEDx speaker and award-winning business coach on mission in order to help you find your G-spot. She is Amazon #1 best-selling author on Finding Your G-spot book. She is a global corporate leader turned entrepreneur turned writer, and her debut book is #1 bestseller. Geetika also sits on the board of advisors at VASME, which is World Association of SMEs, having consultative status with United Nations bodies and advising 1,000 plus budding entrepreneurs. She has touched over 100,000 lives till today, and she has been awarded All India's Achievers Award, the Shining Woman Award, and the Women Community Leaders Award, amongst many others. Many of them are like visible behind you.
Oh, yeah, right. Whatever I could squash on that table.
There are a lot of awards for. So, a believer of self-created destiny and a believer of what next instead of the what if kind of life. She has an honest attitude, tamed only by your sense of humor. So we really appreciate that you took out the time, everyone took out the time for attending this webinar today. And Kitika, thank you for attending this webinar for our students, for our employees. You are a great role model for women empowerment.
I hope men also. I'm not biased at all.
That's good to hear.
So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for the lovely, kind words, Saurabh.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. We may get started, or I may introduce, take a minute or two to introduce you about Across the Globe.
Great. I mean, it's your platform, so you must.
Okay. So I'll share my screen. So on Across the Globe is a social platform for like-minded people across the globe. What we are trying to do is we are trying to connect students with opportunities in terms of internships, education, or jobs. They can connect to different people from different, let's say, people like you who are great in their field, or they can also interact with all the students and showcase what they are doing. So any of their posts which is posted in an interest group, so let's suppose someone is into engineering or dancing or painting, they would post that certain post into that interest group of their choice, and that post would be visible with everyone who's sharing the same interest.
Right.
So the best shared content gets to the top, and that's how the platform works.
Interesting. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Good initiative.
Great. That's it from my side. Kitika, you may take the stage.
Brilliant. And how do I do that?
Will you be sharing anything, or will you be?
No, today I'm speaking.
All right, then you may start. I mean, you are already pinned, so everyone can see you.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Brilliant. And what, I have to keep seeing you, or? Or can I, how do I see all of? Okay, okay, if I scroll, yeah, I normally use webinars. I can see that you're using the meeting option. All right. Okay, cool. So brilliant, yeah. Thank you so much again for the introduction, Saurabh, and very happy to be here on your platform across the globe to share my thoughts and ideas with, well, your tribe. Okay, and so just a few rules of engagement before we start off, because, well, I'm in charge today, so I can make the rules, why not, right? So, well, four very simple rules which I set down for most of my webinars. One, I think we have in total 45 to 60 minutes with us, right? So let's say we have an hour. I seriously request, and that might come out as blunt to everybody on the webinar right now, but I seriously request everybody who's here to chalk out 60 minutes from their calendar right now, right? And not leave in between. And the reason that I'm saying this is that I truly believe that your time is really precious to me as well as to you. So if you leave something in the middle, that's worse than, not joining in. Second, I'm not just asking for your attendance here, I'm asking for your attention here, right? So I want you to immerse yourself. I know it's digitally and impossible to disassociate from the rest of the world these days, but I really want you to immerse yourself in these 60 minutes over here with us. The third thing is, please don't put too much pressure on your brains, and don't try to cram up everything which I'm sharing with you over here. What I need you to do is to take a writing pad and a pen, and whenever you feel that I've shared something which kind of resonates with you, or just kind of pings a bulb in your head, please note it down. That's the best way to get the maximum out of any session, any talk, any class, any opportunity that you get in life. Just write down and scribble somewhere. Okay, don't trouble your brain too much. It's got a lot of work to do, believe me. And the fourth and final one, and I'm going to say this even if it sounds cheesy to you, but I'll explain it to you later on also in the webinar why it's not cheesy and why it's important, right? Please do share your experiences of whatever takeaways that you're having here with all of us on this webinar back in your communities and your tribes, whether it is ATG or whether it's any of the poisonous social media platforms that you are on today. You must, at whatever point of time you feel like, or whenever you think I'm looking decent, right? Please take screenshots. Take screenshots and post them and tag me on whatever social media platform that you put it on. But you must do that. If you can't do that on 4 platforms, you must at least do it for 1, right? All right. So let me now kick off. And I think the way that we're going to do this session, after discussion with Saurabh and Aditya and all, was that we're going to keep the open house questions towards the end of it, right? So possibly I'm here for 10-15 minutes to take any of your questions at the end of the session. Before that, I'm going to cover it in 2 parts. The majority of the part, I will be sharing my thoughts with you. And then towards the end, I'm going to share an opportunity with you in terms of how you can work with me and take the best out of an opportunity for a program with me, right? So yeah, here goes, and let's kick off. And well, like my favorite way of kicking off anything, I start with a question, right? And I'm quoting my book here, and now you can see how Selu I am, right? So go ahead, go to Amazon at some point and check out my book. It's called Finding Your G-Spot. I don't think you can ever forget the name, right? There's a quote in my book which says, if you have no questions, you will get no answers, right? So let me kick off with a question. And the question is, why the hell are you guys here? I mean, what's really wrong with you? It's Sunday evening, 7 p.m. You could be doing absolutely anything fun. And instead you are sitting here with Saurabh, me, and the entire team and listening to a serious webinar called Reinvent Yourself, right? Well, the answer is that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. In fact, quite the contrary. In fact, in many ways, I am honored to be in August company today, because all of you guys are one of the very few people in the crowd today that we have who are showing that they have the seeds, the DNA, the real potential to do something different in life. Why? Because you're choosing to be away from all the commotion and all the options in life, and you're making a choice. Firstly, you're making a choice not just to drift with your Sunday evening. And second, yes, you're making the right choice to choose this particular webinar to be on. So a big round of applause to all you guys. I think you can sit there and applaud yourself. Yes. Right. So what I'm going to do here today, I know you are here expecting me to speak in depth on one topic, which is reinvent yourself. And I guess that's what most webinar guys do also. They come, they pick up a topic, and they do a deep dive into what that is all about. I'm going to take a different approach. Okay, so I'm going to share with you 10 thoughts today which I believe that you need to keep in mind if you want to reinvent yourself in 2020. Okay. So instead of telling you how to do and what to do, which in any case, if you work with me later on, the hows and the whats become very easy. But this webinar is really going to be about the why, right? And I'm going to share with you the 10 thoughts that are there in my mind in terms of what you need to be doing in order to reinvent yourself in these very dynamic times that we are in. Okay, so what are these 10 thoughts that are there in my mind, right? Well, as you will see from all the points that I share with you today, great thought leaders, change makers, leaders, visionaries, CEOs, so-called successful people as we look at them, right? Or we feel they are. They don't do different things. They just do things differently. You would have heard of this quote. It's very used and abused, right? And this session is going to be exactly about that. I want you to start thinking differently and to start thinking in the right direction. So the first thought I want to seed you with, as is my pet way, starts with a question, right? And the question is, what is the most precious currency that we have in the world today, right? And I want you to just think about the answer. And I know I don't think there is a chat option here, because I don't think there is in meetings. I think there is.
I've enabled the chat.
Oh yes, there is this chat option. Yeah. So just enable that, Saurabh, because
Done.
So please, guys, feel free to share with me whatever you want on the chat box, and sometimes I will also ask you to go to the chat box. So what is the most precious currency that we have today? Now, it's not the dollar, it's not the rupee, it's not it's not the yen, it's not the dirham, right? It's really, and I know now you guys are thinking I'll probably say time. Time is the most precious thing. But here's the thing, it's not even time. It's actually, and the cue lied in the way that I opened this session. The most important currency of 2020 is actually attention, right? And I'm not talking about just giving away your attention or focusing your attention. I'm talking about getting attention. And if you have this skill, right, of getting attention for the right things, the right actions that you do, that is what is going to make you stand out from the pack, from the crowd in this cluttered world. So everything that you do, if you really start thinking about it, whether it's top organizations, whether it's change makers, whether it's thought leaders, what are they all craving for today? They are craving for eyeballs on whatever platform, in whatever media, through whatever technique. But at the end of the day, they are wanting eyeballs on themselves so that they're able to share their thoughts or whatever it is that they're wanting to share across with the people. So the most important currency in today's time is attention. And if you've got this currency in hordes, if you've got people's attention, you're on the winner's track, guys. Right? Now, the art is, of course, in terms of how you build skills and what you do in life in order to get the right attention for, of course, the right things, not the wrong things, right? So that's number one. The most important currency that you have to try and attain in today's time and times moving forward is attention in a very, very cluttered space, right? Where nobody is really able to pay attention or stop themselves from using that finger on that phone. The second thing is, again, another question I want to ask you. What is that one skill which you feel will help you become the best? If you had the choice to just pick up one skill, what do you think, right, that would be? And feel free to put it in the chat box now. I'll give you like a few seconds, whatever skill. You don't have to think too hard, right? But leadership, okay, Saurabh is saying leadership. I hear self-motivation from Prasann, communication skills, confidence, again, communication, popular choice. Great, great. So absolutely, all those are very important skills in becoming better versions of yourself. But here's the thing. None of them actually qualify as the best skill. You know why? Because in today's time, there is none. it is just not enough in today's time to bank on that one top skill which will take you and set you apart from the rest of the pack and make you the best. The art these days, if you really want to accelerate your growth, is to learn how to stack your skill set, right? Build your career capital, as the term goes, right? And how do you build your career capital, right? You build your career capital by actually looking at what your natural strengths are. Okay, you work and you focus on your natural strengths, make them your foundation, and then start stacking the various skills, from essential skills to other related skills which you might have. But unless you're able to stack all these important skills today, you will not be able to stand out from the rest of the pack. So gone are the days when all a speaker needed to do was have a good command of language. It's no longer that, or have a nice style of communication, right? Or have self-confidence. I'm just taking an example here because I'm speaking at the moment, right? So it needs to actually stand out from the pack, you need to start developing in your career capital, and you need to start figuring out what that stack of skills will be that you need to slowly learn upon. And that's very important, because your time can be spent, especially with these webinars and a lot of learning methodologies these days. You can just go berserk in trying to learn so much, right? And get so many of these certificates and keep posting them on LinkedIn, right? But what will that get you? Probably a lot of cluttered thing, right? At the end of the day, if you want to create something sustainable and something earth-shattering out for yourself in terms of your future, figure out which skills you really need to acquire and start with your natural skill sets first. The third is, I want you to just think about it. What is the one fixed resource which we really value these days? Which you have the same amount, I have the same amount, everybody on this webinar has the same amount. Tell me in the chat box. Time. Okay, Saurabh has gone straight for it. Yes, absolutely right. You've beaten everybody to it. Time. So now what if I say that you can change time, in the sense that time is no longer fixed? What if you could get more time on your hands? Wouldn't that be a superpower which you can have today, in today's day and age? If only you had more time than then you would definitely have more chances to beat me in the race, or to get faster to wherever that you want to, right? And the way to acquire this superpower of increasing that fixed resource of time that you have is by one method only: to improve your productivity, right? So if you can get more out of the fixed amount of time that you have, right? Whether you look at it as 24 hours in a day, or 8 working hours, or 16 wakeful hours, whichever way you look at it. If you could learn the skills and learn the art of getting more output out of that fixed amount of resource time which you have, you're in a way expanding time for yourself, right? Because time is nothing, but it's valued in terms of output, right? Time on its own is nothing, right? So the way that you measure time is the value that you generate out of it, or the output that you generate out of it. If you generate out of 1 hour of focused work what you would do in 4 hours, then you've just increased your time span, because now you have 3 extra hours left with you, which you didn't have earlier if you'd gone along in a unfocused manner. So if you learn this skill set of increasing your focus and improving your productivity, then you are maximizing and increasing that one limited resource which you have, which is time. And yes, that will also help you in the competitive game as well, right? The fourth is a thought which I want to leave you with, that how do whenever we look at any leader or any successful person in their field, right? We always see that we always associate them with, what all they have achieved in life. But how do you think, what is that common thread which all of these guys have, right? I know this is a difficult one for you to answer, so, but I'm still going to ask you to go ahead and type something. What do you think is the common factor which all successful people have? The common factor. Okay, Pratiksha says failures. Yes, Neha says mindset. Shweba says hard work. Brilliant. Hitesh says discipline. Fail many times again. Somebody says Vishnu Priya. Right. Absolutely. So all of these are right. But if you really look at it holistically, the one thing that all of these guys have is that they have been leading their life as they would lead their organization. Okay, they have literally been looking at their life as if they are the CEOs of their life and they own their destiny, right? These are the guys who, like many of you said, don't fall after failures, right? Who have discipline. What are all these qualities? These are all qualities of ownership. When you own your life and when you're not looking at excuses, right, to stop midway, that is what is really the little bit of, right? It's that resilience and it's that art of looking at your life as if you were running your own organization, right? So which is why I tell people that you don't have to train or aspire to be a CEO. You already are the CEO of your life. So now how will you run that ship, that company? How will you make your life truly a blue chip company? Imagine you were listed in the stock market. Would you be a blue chip company today? You, the person, right? So you have to lead your life the way you would lead the company if you were a CEO. You have to have a vision for yourself. You have to have measurable goals for yourself. You have to have a clear-cut action plan. You have to figure out what resources you need to go from point A to point Z, whatever your destination might be. And then you need to work in that focused manner with all of the qualities that you guys have so correctly listed out, right? So the fourth thought that I want to leave you with is that if you want to grow in terms of leadership in life, and if you want to acquire the leadership skill in 2020, then the way to do it is to start visualizing and treating and running your life as if it were an organization with you being the CEO in charge of it. Which also means, please make quarterly audits, right? and assess yourself in terms of where you wanted to get to and where you actually reached, right? All right, so let's move on to the fifth one. And the fifth one is, well, what is the one skill that you feel you need to have to keep your focus on the larger picture? Come on, you guys are CEOs now, right? So you need to start thinking big and you need to stop getting lost in the details and you need to keep your, as they call it, your eye on the ball, right? So you need to keep looking at the bigger picture. What is it that one skill that you need to do? Right now, I know this is a tough one and you probably won't get it. It's slightly counterintuitive, right? Because what happens is that when you think of the bigger picture, you feel that it's very complex because it has to encompass everything, right? So if you have to look at your where you want to get to in life or your vision in life or who you want to become, oh, that's like a very complex maze in which you have to do n number of things, which I have just been rattling about, right? But the whole idea is that if you want to develop this art of keeping your focus, and now think of any of your favorite leaders or people who inspire you, right? They've always kept their eye on the ball, right? No matter what happened. How did they do that? All of them did one thing, which is that they kept it simple. Which means what? Which means that they didn't have too many balls up in the air in their lives, right? If you want to build the art of focus, if you want to keep your eye on the bigger picture and not stray, then you have to make sure that your life itself is very decluttered. And that becomes especially true and especially important in today's environment. where you're literally spoiled for choice. Even which webinar to attend is like a difficult decision, right? Because there's so many out there, correct? And 95% of them are free. So it makes the choice even more difficult. So it's very important to keep your life decluttered and to keep all the complications away from your life. And from time to time, and I talk of this concept, learn to take a pause in your life, right? Take out some me time. If you can't do it I do it every day, but if you can't do it every day, do it at least every week. Take out 2 hours where you're just reflecting in terms of, what happened in the week. Literally, like there used to be this new segment when I was growing up, the week that was, right? So have some session like that in your life as well, and make sure that you have your life decluttered, your room decluttered, and your mind decluttered, right? Because just imagine your mind is like a vessel, right? How do you pour more stuff into it if it's already up to the brim, right? Don't you need to empty that glass of water before you put more water into it? It's as simple as that. If you can't remember the glass, then please don't kick me out from the webinar for this, but think of your mind or your life as a commode, okay? You regularly put crap into it, correct? We all put crap into our mind and into our lives. Our lives are full of crap, right? But every now and then, we move the, what do you call that? The knob or the button or the whatever, right? Why? We need to drain it out, correct? And we need to keep it fresh. That is exactly what you need to keep doing in your life. Your life and your head is like that commode. Please keep cleaning it up, decluttering it, and keeping it fresh and, well, good to smell. Okay, that was too much information. Right. So believe me, elimination and the art of elimination is extremely important. So therefore, I would say, if you can avoid do something, please avoid it, right? I know that is a very counterintuitive kind of advice I'm giving you, but if you can avoid doing something in life, please do avoid it. Why? Because you don't need to be doing 10 things. Choose how you want to spend your time and energy and effort, and also your money, right? And see if it's value adding to you in any way. Even if it's entertainment, that's perfectly fine, but hey, it should be your kind of entertainment, right? So figure that out. All right, so we are halfway through the first 5, and I don't know, a quick question. Do you want to know the rest 5 of them? If you want to, then please go and write yes, so that I go on, because hey, I'm also human. I need encouragement, no? All right, thank you. Now you know why I asked you to open the chat box, correct? I need to see it moving. All right, the 6th one. And this is a very relevant one because, all right, and I know I'm going to get a lot of answers for this. What is the one skill that you feel we all need to have in these very, very uncertain times? So in times like this, when the world is changing so fast that we can't figure out, and when everything is so uncertain, what is that skill that we really need to develop or to have or to inculcate? All right, so let me see. Patience, very nice. Divyanshu and Muskan say patience. Yashika says calming ourselves. Saurabh is saying flexibility and open-mindedness. They are saying adaptability. Learning things fast and also love others. Shakib Ahmed is saying. Nandan is saying change with time. Flexibility, patience, confidence, learning. Great. Upgrading, Nandan says. Absolutely. So a lot of great things. You guys already know so much. Yaar, mere ko kyun bulaya? Okay, that's an interesting one. Diversification, Sahil says. Okay, chalo. Now, because I have to look very gyani, I'm going to choose the one that is not written. No, but jokes apart. The one thing that you really need in uncertain times is, I know, and I'm going to take a pause over here and I'm going to digress a little bit. Today we had some shocking news about, a very, very unfortunate incident that's happen with an actor, right? And it makes you stop and really think and assess in terms of where are we going wrong and what we could have done better, right? Because this is something that can happen to absolutely any of us and anybody out there. And I personally feel the fact that I think we just need to become more accepting of the fact that this brain is just a muscle at the end of the day. Just like we have literally a cure and regular tests. We get our CBCs checked when we have fever. We get LFT checked if we have any problem with the liver. We have KFT test if we have any problem with the issue. There is no such test, and I just don't know why. If we are feeling low, there should be tests to figure out if our serotonin levels are going out or our oxytocin levels are changing, or things like that, because these are really cues. And it's very unfortunate that a society is not pushing us to do all of these things, because if they were happening, right, then any kind of issue which we are facing in the mind would become just like any other problem with any other organ or part of the body, and we would be treating it there and then. We would not be letting it escalate it to the point where we take decisions which, well, are not right. Okay, so so yes, we live in very uncertain times. We don't know what the future holds for us. But the skill that we need to learn, the art that we really need to learn, is to understand that not everything is out of our control. Okay, I know a lot of us are feeling like, where are the jobs? We're reading everywhere and we're listening to television and everything everywhere that the economy is bust. The global economy is crashing, jobs are disappearing, right? What is going to happen? We are getting into recession, or we are already in recession, and lots of stuff like that. But we need to sit down and realize one truth about uncertain times. And the fact is that there is a certain locus of control. Okay, in fact, please go to the chat box and type LOC. That stands for locus of control. I don't want you to forget this. There are things which are outside of that circle, that locus of control circle, which are genuinely not in our control. What is going to happen to the economy? Really, we don't know. What is going to happen to the COVID situation? We really don't know. Right? How are industries going to get impacted, or how are they going to bounce back? We don't know all of that stuff, which is true, right? Will there be another lockdown? We don't know. Right? Will people getting their degrees this year immediately get jobs? We don't know, right? But there are a lot of things that we do have control over. Like, for example, you came to this webinar today. That was in your control. Hopefully, before going out, you will have at least one or two more thoughts in your head, and you learned those thoughts, which was under your control. What you wake up and do tomorrow while being locked down, even in your home, is under your control. So if you really think about it, the situation, even in uncertain times, is not hopeless. There are n number of things in terms of how you spend your day. Yes, you may not be able to step out, but still you are able to learn. Yes, you may not be able to eat in a restaurant, but God damn it, learn how to cook, right? Don't just look at everything as an obstacle, look at it as an opportunity, right? So if you just remember this art of locus of control, and whenever you're feeling that you're in uncertain times and pata nahi kya hoga, or what is going to happen in life, just sit down and make a list of all the things that are in your control. Seize them, own them, and believe me, that is what great change makers, or people who actually leave an impact on the world do. Right? They don't sit and worry about what the hell is going to happen. They decide about what they can do, what they can change, and what impact they can create. So fine, you can't control the environment, but you can control your actions. So if you're going through uncertain times like in 2020, the one skill that you need to develop is the skill to understand that many things are within your control, and to figure out and to realize that your life is still in your hands. It's not gone out of control. You can still take decisions to steer it in the way that you want it to. right? And if you learn that and implement that and do that, believe me, you will actually become more of action takers and less of, well, like I say, thinkers is a very abused word, right? It's not always great to be a thinker because then you're just a dreamer, you're not a doer. And I keep telling people, I mean, it's not, people say, oh, you should be dreamers. And I say, bullshit. I mean, everybody is a dreamer, big deal, right? But what makes you different from the others is if you're a doer. If you actually take action to get closer to your dreams, that's what will make the difference in your life, right? So we're getting near to the end, which is so sad, but let's go there. All right. So obviously, now the seventh one, and you will all agree with me very here, and especially Saurabh, Aditya, and everybody here who's on the team of ATG will agree with me, right? That the one very important skill in today's time is to build your tribe, right? That is what really, what should I say? It accelerates your power of growth, right? It helps, it creates a momentum in your life. It's almost like, you using a community learning to propel yourself faster and further in life, right? It gets the power of we and substitutes just by that limited power of I. And we know that we is greater than I. So yes, the seventh thought that I want to start with for a change is not a question, it's a statement. That yes, one of the very important skills for today's day and age is to build your tribe. But here's the thing. What do you really need to build your tribe? And I know that most people will use a term called network. We need to network, right? And I know that's what we've been trying to do. Even entrepreneurs, startup enthusiasts, self-employed people, students just coming out. We've been bombarded with this message that you need to network with the right people. You have to know the right people and stuff like that. But here's the thing. We have now moved to times where it's not enough to network, right? Because believe me, all of us know everybody, or everybody is about possibly 2 or 3 connections away, right? So that's not a challenge. The challenge is not in networking. The challenge is in connecting, which is why I say in today's time, in 2020, don't focus on just networking, focus on connecting, right? So whenever you interact with a person, if you really want to use that relationship and help it grow, you have to understand that you have to leave an impact over there. It's not enough to have somebody on your LinkedIn. It's not even enough to have people follow you on social media. It's not enough to just network. It's not enough to walk into a room and exchange your cards, right? A visiting card is meaningless today. Tell me, I mean, how many of you even have visiting cards? I think it's like a dying thing, right? The last pack that I had is, I have 2 packs full of them lying on the outside table. They're unused. We just don't exchange them. So it's no longer about networking. It's about connecting. And how do you connect? You connect by being authentic. You connect by showing the people what value you get to the table. You connect by leaving some thoughts, right? So if I, for example, came here today and I gave you a really chinchak presentation, by the way, I have fantastic presentation making skills. So don't think that I'm not giving a PPT because I can't make one. Oh, I'm the best, okay? But the point is that I wanted to take this opportunity to really connect with you guys, right? So that when you leave, it's not just some graph or some information which I shared with you that stays in your mind, but rather you remember that, yeah, this lady's name was Gitika Sehgal, right? She spoke to me about the commode, right? And she's written a book called Finding Your G-Spot. And she's made some 10 ridiculous statements, and I'm still figuring out 4 of them, right? So the point is that you need to move away from just trying to get to know everybody to try and create value. So the bottom line is, if you want to really connect with people, you have to show what you can do for them. how you can bring value to their work, to their life, to their existence, to their mission, right? So whenever you're connecting on any platform or in any forum, always listen before you speak. Always understand the person and what he wants before you decide what to shove him with, right? And try to leave the person with the knowledge of how can this guy help me, how can this guy or this girl help me out in the future, and they will always remember you. So that whenever you ping them back, right, you are not just a number on their network, but you're some person who had left an impression with whatever value that you can create, right? So I know this is a long one, but I hope that you got the gist out of it. All right, so very quickly, since we're also running out of time, and this is a very quick one, so I'll make it very quickly. One skill that you need to grow, I think I'm not going to ask because lots of the people already knew this one, right? Adaptability. In fact, I say that the future leaders now going forward are not necessarily going to be the smartest or the wisest or even, damn it, the richest, right? They're not necessarily going to be from the top colleges. They're not necessarily going to be the front benchers, but the people who have the ability to adapt, the people who are agile and people who can change to changing environments, right? So if you want to grow, then you need to have this ability to adapt very, very fast. So believe me, it's now no longer about blending in. Blending in is like killing yourself. You have to stand out, right? And how do you stand out? Remember the way or the proof that you're standing out, and now I'm being very blunt about it, but Google your name, because you are what Google says you are. Right? I know for a coach to say that in a session called Reinvent Yourself, that's ridiculous, but that's the truth, guys. This is a digital world that we live in, and if you want to get noticed, then you have to stand out. If you want to grow, you have to stand out. How do you stand out, right? By doing stuff which creates value, right? So start blogging, start creating videos, start creating content, start engaging with the world digitally. If you're on the ATG platform, you guys have the absolute killer advantage here, guys. Share all your thoughts and everything with the communities and tribes that you're building on the ATG platform. Right? That is how you will get noticed. That is how you will stand out from the pack. And that is how the rest of the people will see how you can add value to their journey. Right? And that is what will make you grow. And believe me, all these things will slowly start reflecting on Google. Right? And that really is the new visiting card these days. It's not your 3x2 paper anymore. Right? Your accomplishments, your thoughts, your articles, your whatever you have shared anywhere should be popping up soon on that, right? So remember that if you want to get noticed, then make it to Google, right? And finally, so we took now towards the end, and this is of course my favorite one. What is the one skill that is a prerequisite to all of the above? And this is a concept which I call as, the binary game. We all understand binary game. It's just 0 or 1. Either you have it or you don't. And the best part is this has a kind of a multiplier effect on everything that I've spoken, which means that if you don't have it and if you're a 0 on it, it absolutely negates everything else. Okay, this is a tough one. I know you're going to be scratching your heads. I can already see Saurabh looking very confused now. And I'm not even going to ask you guys to figure that out. But it's really the ability, and Saurabh, please don't laugh at this one. It's really the ability to be alone with yourself. And I don't mean that in a shady way at all, but it's really the ability to be alone with yourself, being centered, right? Being centered and learning the art of reflection, which is also somewhere connected to, if you want to become If you want to build leadership qualities, then you have to start thinking of your life as your organization, right? And I said somewhere in the middle also, so start getting this me time out, right? And start doing personal audits, and really understand about who you are, what your strengths are, what you really can bring to the table, how can you create impact, and what kind of bloody impact do you want to create, right? When I ask a lot of people about, what's your goal or what's your mission in life, uh, 50 out of 100 times they come and tell me, I want to be rich. The rest 50 out of 100 times they come and tell me, I want to be happy. And I'm like, guys, this is not a goal, okay? It's highly unmeasurable. It's totally vague. It says absolutely nothing about who you are, right? So how in the world are you even going to measure it tomorrow if you're successful? Even if you are successful, even if you are happy, how will you measure if you're happy, right? Even if you're saying you're happy, please quantify and tell me, what is happiness to you? What are the 8 things that you need to do when you can say that, okay, now if I get these 8 things or do these 8 things, I will become happy. Then at least that vague statement actually turns into a goal, right? So this 10th thing is really about self-awareness. If you are not in tune with who you are, believe me, you will be chasing dreams which might not even be yours. So I had a bunch of accomplishments for the first 15, 18, 20 years of my life. They also reached Google, by the way. But at the end of the day, they didn't have as much meaning in my life as what I've done in the last 3-4 years. Why? Because what I've done in the last 3-4 years is so consciously what I discovered that I wanted to do. Right. So for example, I come from I come from a typical middle class family. The only thing different about us was that it was ridiculously highly educated. Right. So my father's from IIT. My mother is MSc Physics honors in 1960s or whatever. One of my granddads was awarded the Padam Shri for his work. One of my granddads was, let's not get into all that, but yeah, like a mentor for Abdul Kalam, and a lot of things like that. So I never really thought about what I wanted to do because it was so obvious, right? Job karna hai, salary leni hai, and walk on the same track. The first time I ever stopped to think what I wanted to do in life was around 35ish, right? When I decided that I want to set up my own company, and people thought I'd gone bonkers at that time to leave a cushy career and everything, right? In fact, so much so that the company that I was working for was convinced that I was joining the competition as the India country head. Because they said, no, who leaves this kind of job for, starting up? Because this was like still quite a few years back when startup was not a very glamorous term, right? But yeah, I won't go into my journey because we don't have another hour over here, and I'm not going to bore you with that. But the basic bottom line is that, one of the biggest tragedies in life, and I'm going to kind of close with this. One of the biggest tragedies in life is when you have been chasing dreams and when you become successful in dreams that were not even yours. And that is when you end up feeling truly empty. When you achieve something that you've been working hard for and still it doesn't give you that sense of satisfaction. That's the litmus test. So I don't want you getting there. I want you to actually get to whatever your true, real dreams are. And for that, you have to remember that the 10th and most important point is actually self-awareness, is actually getting to know yourself. And that is also what my program is about. Okay. And it's not just about the self-discovery process, but it's about taking self-discovery to self-mastery, right? Which is why if you look at my program, it's a combination of, a few carefully curated courses. The first one is the course on self-discovery, which will make you literally probe yourself and figure out what makes you you, figure out and nail down what clearly is your one main purpose, your one mission in life, for what you want to be known for in your life, and help you create a proper goal sheet. Not like I want to be happy or I want to be rich. If you're rich, please define which yacht you want, right? And also create an action plan around it. Okay, but it's not, the program doesn't end with self-discovery. It also arms you with, remember I spoke of career capital, right? Somewhere in the 10 points. And I told you that if you want to build any skills for today's times, you need to first build on the foundation. And the foundation is certain things, certain of the things which a lot of you also mentioned, which means the art. Now, just close your eyes for a second and think of whoever you really look up to in terms of leadership or success, or, who's really made it in their lives. And just think for a moment what they signify. Don't you get the feeling that they are always on a mission? Right? They've, like a lot of people said, they have never fallen off their track no matter what happened. That they've had this energy around them, this aura, which almost kind of propels them forward no matter what the hell happens in life. So in fact, the first self-mastery course is around exactly this. It's about how to create your motivation engine, which comes from within and works on an autopilot mode, so that you have that fuel. Think of yourself as a car, or your life as a car, right? If you didn't put fuel into it, even a Aston Martin won't move, right? What's the point? Correct? Which is why you might have been born with a silver spoon in your life, but if you don't have that fuel, that motivation, you're not going to move anywhere, get anywhere, and get that sense of satisfaction, right? So the first self-mastery course is around creating a motivation engine within yourself on an autopilot mode, so that you learn the art of how to get motivated, how to stay motivated, and how to always be motivated, just like that leader you right now thought in your head, right? The second self-mastery course is about the other thing. How do you think that same leader, go back to him or her, how do you think that they reached their long journey no matter what? Right? Of course, they were fueled by their motivation, but at the end of the day, they kept their eye on the ball, the bigger picture. And that is the art of focus. That is the art of concentration. Now, most of us, we limit our definition of focus and concentration to just cutting out cell phones and distraction and thinking that, oh, if I can do a task with full concentration, right? But the art of focus is so much more. It's also about learning what to focus on. Right? And looking at the bigger picture. So this course is about both the things, right? It's about looking at your broad focus and your narrow focus. It's about figuring out what to focus upon, and have tried and tested global techniques, which I share with you in the course through the videos that I have, which tell you how to figure out what you need to be focusing on in your life. And secondly, of course, all the hacks that you need to keep your concentration on the task at hand. That's the second course. And the third and final course is, of course, how do you think that same leader that you've just envisioned in your head, how do you think he keeps going on? Think of any leader now. Think of Elon Musk, or think of anybody. Did they stop at their first achievement? No. You probably might not even have noticed them. How did they really become so big in their life? Because they went from one to the other, to the other, to the other. How? Right? Because they learned the art of developing habits of highly successful people, right? Now, you can read books about what are the habits of highly successful people, but that's not going to help you so much, because you need to understand how to inculcate these habits into your life. And that's what the third course is about. It's about the art of mastering the creation of good habits and how to break the bad habits. Right? And so therefore, any kind of habit that you pick out in any of the people that you look up to, you can pick that out and say, okay, now I know the process of developing a great habit. So I'm going to pick up this habit. I'm going to apply the process from the course, and I'm going to get there. So that's what the program is about. It's, I think I'll leave it to Saurabh and team to tell you a little bit more about it, but if they need to. But it's basically, I call it a program, which means that there are various, it's a self-paced course, right? It's an on-demand course. It's of course digital, and you get lifetime access to all of those courses, right? I give you access of these 4 courses over a 2-week time. The main purpose is so that I don't want you to take less than 2 weeks, because I know you won't be able to absorb it, right? That's the only reason why I spread it over 2 weeks. But once you start getting all the modules over the 2 weeks, the access, you have it for lifetime. And in fact, I would encourage you to keep going back to it as and when you want. I call it, though, a program and not a course also, in many ways, because it's not just like a one-time thing which I'm trying to shove it with to you. What I've also done is I've added a lot of bonuses, a lot of expensive bonuses to it, which is like 52 skill trainings with me for every week of the next 1 year. So that means 52 times you will be forced to meet me online, of course, like this, where I will be learning, sharing with you some tips, some tricks, some thought, it could, or some methodology, or maybe even a template around how to become more productive, or blah, 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 any such thing. So just imagine 52 such skill training classes. And like I said, it's not about networking. I don't just want you to know who I am. I want to connect with you personally, and you with me. And therefore, you will have access to my Q&A sessions, which happen every week for a short while. 30 to 60 minutes. I come on live every Thursday so that you can ask me anything. It's like an EMA session. Ask me anything about the course or about life, so that for the next 52 weeks, you have the opportunity to bombard me with your problems, and I will be committed to helping you solve them. Right? Just for a very special case, especially with the ATG team, I've also, added a one-to-one session with me, which is, well, I can't even put a price to it, because I don't now give one-to-one sessions, because I've not mastered the art of increasing time. Right, to that extent. But yes, if you're going for this course through the ATG platform, you will get a one-to-one online session with me, just like this, on a Zoom meeting, where it'll just be you and me speaking on whatever the hell you want to. Right? That's of course a one-time thing, and you can choose it anytime that you want. Usually people go for it in the first couple of weeks itself, but you can take it anytime that you feel now you're ready to meet Kritika. So yes, that is what the program of reinventing yourself is, which is about taking you from self-discovery to self-mastery, and helping you create that foundation of which you need to propel yourself forward into all of those top 10 skills which we spoke about for 2020. And of course, I hate to say this and dilute everything that I'm saying, but at a very ridiculous, highly discounted price for the ADG tribe over here. Right, so that was me with my gyan and my pitch, and I will now leave it to Saurabh and team to either open it for Q&A or whatever you want, whichever way you want to take it forward.
Thank you, Geetika. So it was really a great session for all of us, even for me as well, like since I'm leading the ATG team at this point of time. And whatever you said, like I've learned a few things, not all of them, over, after burning a lot of time. After
I think my cutting sense of humor has brushed off on you, huh? Right.
After like wasting a lot of time, wasting a lot of money, and some relations at some times, I understood some things about, what you said about time, the LOC part. Still having not mastered all of them, of course. I mean, it's, from the students' perspective, from what I think is, the colleges teach them the skills and the tools, which sometimes they are also outdated, but they don't teach them the life skills which can take them forward. Basically, the entire education system is taking them in a way where they want to get a job. And that job is not also a very high paying job in the beginning as well. So basically, like in a very competitive segment. So these are some life skills which, I appreciate honestly, that, we have the opportunity for people like you to mentor us on a one-to-one basis, and you help us out with the problems in life. So that's really appreciated.
My pleasure.
I think we can open it up for Q&A if anyone has any questions. Would you want me to moderate them for you, or?
No, that's fine.
All right.
Okay. Shoaib is saying, the last one says, ma'am, according to you, what quality should you have for successful life or successful person? Okay, Shoaib, so I think the most important quality is the ability to first define what is success to you, right? Because the problem with most of us is that we keep chasing different things at different times, and half the time we don't even understand what does success mean to us. In fact, I've given a TEDx talk. I don't think it's gone up on YouTube just now. They're still editing the video, but that talks precisely of this. That talks about how to define success in your terms, right? So I think if you really want to be successful in life, first understand and define what does success look like to you. Take a piece of paper and start writing down that I will consider myself successful when I do this, when I am this kind of a person, and when I create this kind of an impact. The moment you have that clarity in life, Shoaib, believe me, you're already on your way to becoming successful. So get that clarity in terms of what success means to you. Okay? All right. Shagdev is asking, but what one should do if he is not able to do the things that give him true happiness and accomplishment, and his profession demands other things. Okay, Shakib. First of all, I understand that we might feel that we are caged into a particular profession because we need to earn money, which is perfectly fine, right? But the idea is, as long as you know what are the profession that you want to get into, the fact is that you parallelly start, instead of beating yourself over, oh, I can't do that, start trying to figure out and get a game plan in terms of how do I transition from the profession that I have to the profession that I want to have, right? Believe me, if you are in this situation, Shakib, you're one of the fortunate people. Most of the people don't even know what profession to have. Most of the people coming to me are confused and don't know what to do, right? At least you are saying that you know what to do, but you just don't know how to get there, right? Which is a much more easily solvable problem. So figure out for yourself what are the skill sets that you need to develop in order to be able to do that second career, whatever it is that you want to, and to make that once you acquire those skills. So first is knowing what it takes. So supposing you want to become a singer, figure out what does it take to become a great singer, right? Inculcate those qualities. Look at your whichever singer that you admire and look at what qualities he or she has and how they have tracked their career. Start developing them. When you feel that you have reached the minimum point in your career capital or achieving that skill set, then see how you can smoothly transition from your existing to your aspirational career, right? You may not be able to make the jump in one go, right? So then start doing it one by one. Have a period of time. Give yourself 6 months to do the other profession side by side in a smaller form. Like, for example, if you want to quit everything and become a writer, now obviously you're not going to earn from month one, right? So you will not be able to take that decision. So what do? Give yourself a 6-month period or whatever it is, 1 year, 3 months, whichever, right? Where you say, I will start doing everything which a writer does, which is I will start blogging, I will start to get my book published, I will start to contribute articles to different websites, right? I will start interacting with the people who can take my thoughts ahead. Start doing those things and get your value to the level where now you're confident that you can shift from your existing profession to your new one. Okay, so go about it in a methodical manner. It is possible. I have made so many career shifts myself, three times minimum. Okay. All right, Pratiksha saying, ma'am, as you said about tragedies which happen in life, are those tragedies good or we should avoid it? Because I find difficulty in figuring out what should I do. Okay, so Pratiksha. Sadly, tragedies is not something that we have control over. Like I explained, that locus of control concept, it's, sometimes it happens to us. And I'm not going to say that tragedy happening is a good thing. No, a tragedy is a tragedy. Okay, there is nothing good about a tragedy. The only thing is that we have to understand that the tragedy is outside of your control. You can't do anything about it. But what is within your control is, what do you do after that? Right? So how do you use that tragedy to make you realize something in your life? Right? Lots of things sometimes happen, and it immediately, like, I'll share something with you. So I lost somebody very early on in my life, not in my family, but outside, right? That made me stop and just think of how precious life was. Now, that's a very generic thing, right? But it made me understand how precious life was. And from that day onwards till now, I was 19 years old that time. From that day onwards, right till now, I have always treated my life as if, this is it. It's unpredictable. So I have to do the most. So everybody comes and asks me, Geetika, where do you get your energy from? Right? And then they throw my age on my face and I'm like, shut up. But the thing is that I want to pack my day and my life with the maximum value that I can create and the maximum output that I can have. Because I know from the tragedy that I experienced when I was young, I learned this one thing, right? The tragedy was bad. It should never have happened. But I learned one thing: the importance, the uncertainty, the fragility of life, and how we owe it, right, to ourselves and to everybody in our lives to make the most of this one opportunity of a lifetime that we have. So it really, tragedies are all sad, Pratiksha, but what you do after them is what will define your future. So don't let the tragedy defeat you. Okay? See what it's trying to tell you. Your life is speaking to you. Hear it, listen to it, understand it, right? You will have some learning, you will have some takeaway, and use that and literally take the juice out of it and use it to go on and, do better, bigger things in life. Okay. Somebody has sent something privately, so I'll ignore it. Or should I check it? I don't know. All right. First, let me check with, while you check that out, it's Yashika's, Saurabh. I'll answer Vishnu Priya. Ma'am, I get depressed so quickly. How I overcome it? Okay. So Vishnu Priya, if you get depressed very quickly, first of all, it's an indication that whatever you have crammed your day with, first of all, okay, it is things that you don't want to do, right? For example, I love music. I am never, ever in a low mood when I'm listening to the music that I like, right? It's just not possible. Similarly, I'm a big foodie, right? So it's impossible that I have my favorite plate of food in front of me, however bad the day is, I enjoy it, which means that, I like writing, for example. So no matter how crazy the day is, the 10, 20 or 30 minutes when I'm writing, I don't feel low. I don't feel bad. So if you feel that you get depressed very fast, Vishnu Priya, then it basically means that you are not doing enough things in the day which give you happiness, right? You are not doing enough things in the day which fuel your passion, right? So figure out, I'm not saying that you can choose the way you spend your 24 hours. No, there will be tasks that you will find boring. There will be tasks that you don't like to do. But the main thing is, try to list down 5 things that you like to do, Vishnupriya, and make sure that you do 3 of them every day, whichever 3. So this is a task for you. It's homework for you. Think of 5 things that you like to do and make sure that you do 1, 2, 3 of them every single day for the rest 7 days, the rest 1 week. And then drop me a mail. Are you still equally depressed every day as you were earlier? I'm pretty sure that the answer will be no. You will start to feel slightly better. The second thing also about depression, okay, and you might not like this answer, but really listen to it. Depression happens when negative thoughts come into your mind. How can negative thoughts come into your mind? When there is too much space in your mind, when there are not enough positive thoughts in your mind, right? So fill your mind up with positive thoughts. And how do you do that? By doing stuff. So start doing stuff. Don't sit idle. There is this saying, empty mind is devil's workshop, right? So make sure that you do so many things in a day, right? That all the time you're doing something. And at least 3 of those things are the things that you love to do, right? So then you will have neither the time to get depressed, right? Because there will be no time to sit and think about, oh, my life is so screwed up, yaar. You just won't have the time because you'll be doing stuff. And secondly, start incorporating stuff that you like to do. Okay. All right. I hope that helps you sometime in the future. Okay, Ashika's come out of private mode. All right. What to do when you want to speak up on a certain topic, but everything seems so useless that you don't even feel like sharing it even with your bestie? Any kind of solution for this? Sorry for that. Hey, don't apologize at all, but I need to read this again. What to do when you want to speak up on a certain topic, but everything seems useless that you don't even feel like sharing with your bestie? Okay, I'm a little bit confused on this question, Yashika. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but if you can't share your innermost thoughts with your bestie, I will not qualify honestly that person, first of all, your bestie. ऐसे best friend का क्या फायदा भाई? कोई और friends ढूंढो who you can open up to without feeling that you will be judged, or without feeling like, oh, they will make me feel worse. Please, first of all, increase your friends circle, and not just by the number of people, but the right people who will give you the warmth and security of a relationship where you can speak up and speak up on anything that is on your mind, and not make you feel like अरे बेवकूफ है, अरे क्या stupid चीज बात कर रही है, or you know, how silly can you be, kind of thing. So please stop being with judgmental people, right? Or people who make you feel small, and start increasing your tribe to positive people who you can share more with. Okay. What else? Is there anything else, Saurabh? Having JJ saying having different tastes makes me feel odd one out. What would you suggest? Hey, JJ, you're not odd one out. You're the special one. Right. So remember, like I said in one of the 10 points, the idea is not to blend in. The idea is to stand out. So whatever you're saying to me is not a problem. It's not an issue. It's a power. You have the power of different. It's good to be different, man. So don't feel like you're left out. Feel like you have something unique to offer to this world, and you do. And you use that skill or that uniqueness to create your personal brand. Believe me, I haven't used this term because it's such a used, abused term about personal brand, right? But if you really look at a lot of these points, a lot of them are pointed towards doing what? Creating your personal brand. Even the self-discovery, which I keep harping about, what is it doing? It's about you figuring out who you are and what your brand should stand out to be. You already have the attributes of being uniqueness. You just need to start looking at it positively, appreciating yourself, and not being apologetic about it. In fact, shove it into the world's face, man. Be proud of who you are and how you're different. Okay? All right. Okay, Saurabh. I think, guys, we kind of towards the end of it. I think Saurabh can share, whatever my social media handles are with me. Please connect me. Follow me on LinkedIn. Go to my Instagram, which is called G Story Time. Follow me there. Baki bhi kar lena. Right? And most importantly, share whatever you've learned with the rest of the world, and let the world know that you are attending interesting webinars and not wasting your Sunday evening like they are. Right? Okay. So yeah, if you go to my about me section, you can quit the Gyan and just go right at the towards the end. And at the end, I've given all the links to my social media. So yeah, stay with me there, and it would be great if you can grab the opportunity which ATG is offering to you by giving a heavy discount on the price for the program with me. If you do agree to take on this course, then great. Let me, like I say, help you help yourself. That's it from me, Saurabh.
Thanks, Deepika. Thanks a lot for. It was a pleasure having you here. I personally learned a lot, and the team, even the team like Aditya pinged me right now that he finds you very lively and very enthusiastic about whatever you do, the life in itself. So I personally feel the same too. I feel motivated, like having this webinar and the session with you, and it gives me an opportunity to interact with like world renowned speakers like yourself. And I really appreciate what you've taken time out for our team, educate them in certain ways, and we'll keep on spreading the word.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And now genuinely enjoy your Sunday evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.